Hello and welcome back to Your Quantum Life. My name's Bonnie Peace, and today I'm so excited to share on the topic of the incredible power of surrender, relaxation, letting go, and the law of detachment, and what an incredibly important piece of conscious manifestation that is. So I'm excited to jump into it, and I have a couple of really fun and funny stories to share with you about how this played out in my life recently. But before we jump into it, I want to let you know that on November 30th, I'm going to be opening up a limited number of spaces for private mentoring, one-to-one mentoring with me. So this will include a 3-month option, a 6-month option, so longer term containers, as well as a brand new one-off session that I'm so excited to share with you. So if this calls you, if you're feeling the call in your heart and soul to work with me in this way and have my support, you can jump on the wait list below. I'll put it in the show notes. All right, so let's jump into the episode. So the incredible power of surrender, relaxation, and letting go, and the law of detachment. So I'm sure that in your life, you've experienced at times where when you're trying to call something in, when you're like really wanting something to manifest, you're trying to manifest something, you're like pushing and forcing and reaching for it and grasping. And there's this energy of tension in that. It's like you're clenching and gripping and holding on. And that energy, this feels so counterintuitive, but that energy of reaching and grasping and pushing and forcing actually repels the very thing that we're wanting to call in. And then as soon as you reach a point where you're able to let go and relax and surrender and be like, you know what? If this thing's meant to happen, it'll happen, and I can't control the outcome. I'm just going to, let it go and see what happens. As soon as you reach that point, that is when, like suddenly, instantly in that moment or soon after, your manifestation comes in with ease, and you receive the phone call or the email that you've been waiting for, and suddenly the thing comes to you with incredible ease. Where when you were trying to hold on so tight and control the outcomes and make the thing happen, it's like that was actually pushing that thing away. So there's incredible power in letting go and softening and relaxing. So I'm going to tell you a couple of stories in my life of how this panned out. So Mark and I, my husband and I, recently moved to Austin, Texas. And before that, we were living in Portugal. And before the move, I needed to get a filling in my tooth. So I went to this great biological dentist in Portugal, and they are fabulous at what they do, like super, super good. Like I have quite a lot of trust with them now after, various procedures, getting my wisdom teeth done and everything. Like they're amazing. But I will say that I am quite a nervy dental patient, and I try to relax, but it's like as I'm going in, it's like that stress and that tension, that anxiety starts to kick in, which I'm sure you can relate. I mean, do many people like the dentist? I'm not sure. It's a fairly natural thing to go into that anxious, stressed state, I feel. Anyway, so I was going into the dentist that day, and I was starting to feel myself getting, really stressed, tense, like all my muscles were tight. I'm like, oh, like I hate this, and you got to go in and get the injection and then the filling and all the things. So I was feeling quite stressed, and then I got into the dental chair, and the dentist came in. She's a lovely lady, and she started, she put in the anesthetic, and they put the rubber dam into my mouth, which if you've had a rubber dam, it's just not a nice experience. It's like having this big rubber, thing in your mouth, and it gets kind of harder to breathe and swallow and all the things. So yeah, not the nicest experience. So I had the rubber dam in my mouth, and then I guess the next part of the procedure or the process was for the dentist to floss. And I don't know how this works, but I guess like after they put the rubber dam in, they need to floss through the rubber dam or something. I don't know. But anyway, so the rubber dam was in and she's, trying to floss and get this piece of dental floss in between my teeth. And it was just going on and on. She could not get it through. And I do have teeth that are pretty close together, so it can be a challenge. But like this was really not working. And it had been going on for, 20, 30 minutes. And I was sitting there going like, oh my gosh, we haven't even started yet. So she's trying and trying and trying to floss. And I just kind of started paying attention to my state, to how I was feeling, to my breathing, to how I was holding my body. And I noticed that I was extremely uptight. I was like, "Ooh," like really tense. So I thought, you know what? There's not much that I can do at this point. So the best thing I can do is just surrender and like connect to source, connect to my guides, to her guides, to just kind of relax and trust that things are working out as they need to. And so in that moment, I was able to deeply relax. I felt like this beautiful, almost bliss come over me, where I really let go and surrendered, and my breath softened and everything. And in that very moment, I'm not kidding, that was the moment where suddenly the floss goes through. The floss went through. And then it was like easy after that. She was like, floss, 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 like every tooth, no problem at all. She was even celebrating. She's like, yay, like it's finally working. And I knew that it was because I surrendered and relaxed in that moment. So I find that so incredible. Like we wouldn't necessarily think that we have so many, miniature muscles in our mouth, that being uptight and tense can actually block the dentist's capacity to do whatever procedure they're doing. But I really think that's kind of how it worked. So there's probably the physical, like those tiny muscles in my mouth that were actually like holding on for dear life. And then there's all the metaphysical things in terms of when we're blocking the thing that we're wanting. Like I wanted this filling to work out smoothly and easily. That's what I wanted. But because I was trying to control the situation so much, I was actually stopping it from working out. And in that moment when I surrendered and let go and relaxed, suddenly everything went so smoothly and so easily. And she got the filling done very, very quickly. So I thought that was an amazing story. And I told my husband afterwards how that happened. And he was like, wow, like that's so wild that when we hold on that tight, like our muscles, our mind, whatever it is, can totally block the process. So that was one story. And then the second story that I wanted to share with you was so I was recently in Australia. I was visiting my family and I was staying at my aunt's place in Melbourne in a little bungalow in the back of her house. And she has these chickens, and in Australia we call them chooks. So she has like 6 pet chooks basically who live in the back of her house, and they're so funny. They're the most social, outgoing, friendly chooks or chickens that I've ever met. Like you arrive at her house and they greet you. They're like, hello, and they like come and check out your legs, and sometimes they'll start pecking. Like it doesn't hurt, but they'll check you out, they'll talk to you. Very, very friendly chooks. And actually sometimes, when we would have dinner outside at the outside table, the chooks would come up and like jump up on the table. And so we'd have to like be like, no, you can't join dinner in this way. But anyway, very, very funny chooks. So one night my aunt said to me, Bon, I have to go to this event. It's very important for me to go out this evening. And so I'm torn because the chooks are in such a habit of having me, put them to sleep at a certain time. And there's this whole rhythm and routine, and I don't know what to do. And if I go to this event, would you be willing to put the chooks to bed? And so as she said this, I was like, of course, of course I'll help put the chooks to bed. But also it triggered some anxiety for me because I'm like, I am not much of a chook whisperer. Like I don't have much experience with chooks, with chickens. And I know that it's kind of a whole thing to get them into the one area of the yard and then to get them into the actual chook pen, like what do you call it? A chicken coop or whatever. Because I had watched her do that a couple of times and it didn't seem very smooth sailing. So I was like, sure. I mean, do you have any tips of how do you kind of usher them in? And she said before she left for the event, she would get the chooks into that one part of the yard. So that was kind of one gated section, but then they did have to go into the actual coop and close that up as well. And if they don't go in there, of course, there's like danger of them getting eaten by foxes, all the things. So I felt the stakes of this responsibility to put the chooks to bed. So anyway, she got the chooks to go into this one part at least, so they weren't like roaming over the entire garden. But then she left and, the sun started to go down and I was like, I need to get them into this chicken coop. So I went into that one area and I started to try to, usher them in, like with my arms, with my body, kind of blocking them from going further away. I was like trying to usher them into this chicken coop, and it was not working. Like, they were not having it. They seemed, quite disturbed and upset, maybe because they weren't used to me. They had their rhythm with my aunt, and who was this strange person trying to get them into their bed? Like, they were kind of protesting, like going in all directions. And I was like, oh no, what am I going to do with these chooks? So I kept trying for a while. Like, it felt like maybe 10 minutes or something of them just going all over the place. And then eventually I realized, oh, I'm sure they're responding to my energy because I was in this like stress state. And so I realized that I just needed to relax and calm and settle and let go and surrender. So in that moment, it was like this calm came over me, and I actually kind of sat down near them and closed my eyes, or kept my eyes very, very slightly open to see what was going on. And yeah, I just started very slow breathing, like deep breath in and exhale gently. And then my breath really softened, and I felt my breath slow and my heart rate slow. And I came into this kind of experience of, I would say, like deep connection with myself and source, where I was kind of just in the flow, like enjoying this beautiful experience of presence with these chooks, with these chickens around me. And pretty quickly I noticed that they started to relax as well. They started to kind of feel more harmonious, more at ease, almost like they enjoyed being in my energy field. And so we were just kind of like, yeah, in the presence together, me and these funny little chooks. So I was kind of in this meditation, and very quickly they started to take themselves to bed. So they felt relaxed enough that they could, go about what they usually do of like little pecking here and there, and taking themselves gently and slowly and naturally into the chicken coop. And so I'm not kidding. Like, I had been trying to rally them and like get them into the coop for 10 minutes before I went into this kind of meditative state. But as soon as I did that, it didn't take long at all. It was like, I don't know, 30 seconds or a minute where I was just really in presence and relaxed with them, and they all just took themselves in. And then I got up, I stood up, and I made sure to stay in that beautiful, relaxed flow, stay in that state of presence, gently, without any sense of control or stress. I walked over to the chicken coop and slowly closed the door and hatched the lock. And then I was like, yes, oh my gosh, that was so awesome. And it really taught me something. Like, this was actually an extraordinary experience. Nature and animals, animals are so incredible at sensing our energy. They're so in tune. And because I was coming at this from a state of stress and like, I need to get this done, I need to get you into the chicken coop, like, they were really stressed with me and it wasn't working. They couldn't relax. They couldn't go to bed with me in that energy. And as soon as I dropped into that surrender, that detachment, that connection, really, as soon as I connected and got really present, then they could easily go in. They felt at ease, they felt harmonious, and they put themselves to bed in a really relaxed state. So I thought this was so amazing and such an incredible example. And so I was reflecting on, the dental experience and the experience with these chooks, with these chickens, and they were just such incredible illustrations of how when we're pushing and forcing and controlling and coming from that energy of, like as I said, grasping, reaching, clenching, there's a lot of tension in our system. We're breathing very shallowly or quickly. And there's, I'm sure, like if we could measure it in a lab, there's all these different chemicals and hormones and all of that. And especially animals feel that, but humans do as well, and the universe does as well. It's like we have an energy field, an aura that is connected to the rest of whatever's around us, and honestly, like the rest of the universe, the rest of all of creation. And so when we're in that state, of course it's having a certain effect. and it's blocking the flow. But when we can get into this state of beautiful connection, surrender, where we just let go of control and trust and feel that we're held by the divine, soften our breath, when we can connect to that kind of experience, it's like the very things that we're wanting can flow with ease. So these were two incredible examples. And I hope that this has been an inspiration and a reminder for you that if there are certain things that you're wanting to call in, that you're wanting to manifest in your life, and you're like going through a conscious manifestation process, you're wanting to call in certain things, just check in with yourself and see, how is my energy as it relates to this thing? Am I grasping and holding on tight? And like, especially when we're wanting, the word want often has this kind of reaching, grasping feeling to it, this feeling of like we're coming from a state of lack and scarcity. But if we can surrender, it's like, yes, stay connected to the vision of the thing that we're wanting. Like as I was kind of surrendering and just connecting and allowing the chooks to do their thing, I was absolutely visioning. I was also imagining, like seeing the chooks in my mind's eye going gently into the chicken coop. So I was kind of guiding them in with my visualization. So yes, absolutely, stay connected to your visioning, your visualization, but check in with your energy and ask yourself, how can I surrender? How can I relax and let go in this situation? How can I release control? And then really just encourage your muscles, encourage your body to relax and surrender. Let the muscles go. Let your breathing soften. Just have that intention to stop holding on so tight and just relax. Let it go and trust that everything is working out perfectly. So I hope this is helpful for you. I'm sending you so much love. Thank you for being here. And may you remember who you really are and activate your quantum life. Lots of love.